What's good, guys? So I just finished walking my dog right now. I'm gonna take the leash off of her. But as I was walking, I like to walk and get my steps in because that's what helps me get lean. But I was just thinking about, this Proverbs quote that I read this morning, and I talked about it on my Instagram story, but I want to talk about it here because I really think it's something that really helped me to detach from outcomes. Because I would like to say that I'm ambitious myself, right? I get, I give this energy off to people who are customers at where I work at, or they're either my friends. Sometimes I just get compliments here and there saying, hey, you're pretty motivating, right? And so, and I'm inside, by the way, that I'm pretty motivating. And I like to say so myself too, but I find myself only wanting the outcome, So let me just take this off. Because I have pretty ambitious goals. Have materialistic goals. I have spiritual goals. I'm reading Proverbs every single day in the morning before I even start with anything. So instead of push-ups, I've been doing that. I have mentality goals. I want to also have physical goals like my physique, my habits. I also want to have all these things. But I found myself to really be drawn to the materialistic stuff, right? Like the tangible stuff, like almost like some tangible, some intangible. Like, for example, social media, having a high follower count gives you status, right? But I was just thinking, like, what happens after that? What happens after? You know, do you expect to just put in the upfront work to get the goal and then stop? Like, is that it? Like, what's the point of that, right? The whole point of the goal is to enjoy the process of achieving it. But if the goal is to, you know, if where you find happiness is just getting the goal, like the moment you get the goal, just that moment, sure it'll be awesome, but then what next? Because if that was it, then that's your peak. Then that means your happiness is gonna drop low. Your purpose is gonna drop. Because if your only goal is to just achieve the goal, which is awesome, like the whole point of goals is to get them, right? But if that's where your happiness lies into just getting that goal, that means that's your peak. And then once like a week passes, you're back down below here because your purpose is gone. Rather than, what the proverb said today, about detaching from the outcome. You can roll a dice. Where I don't, it wasn't exactly like this, but you can roll a dice, but God only will determine what numbers you roll. And I found that really, really powerful because we always try to determine the outcome. We always try to just look for the outcome. We only want to just get the result, but we don't want to put the upfront work, you know? I was delaying YouTube videos for a long time because I would post like once every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every time I had a decent idea. And then I would be like, okay, let me script this out perfectly. And I would only, just want the outcome of having subscribers, but I wasn't even putting in that much work in. Same thing with social media. I was, if I'm only posting just to get to a follower count, what happens after that? Like if I want to get 10,000 followers, right? Which is something I've been wanting for a while. What happens after that? Like, does anything really change? Not really. Not really, right? And same thing with your physique too. If you're only working hard just to look a certain way and then stop, then your purpose is going to diminish because once you get to a certain point with your physique, then there's no point to do any more hard work because you're already there. But if you're not maintaining that physique with continuous effort and working hard, then your physique will drop too. Same thing with social media. If I'm only posting just to get to a certain follower count and I get to that point, what's next, right? My purpose drops. So that means if I just reach that goal, then, nothing else happens. And if that's where your happiness lies, that's where my happiness led to. That's where my happiness was for a while until I started to mature a little bit more as I grow older. That the goal is not actually to to get the goal and then stop. The goal is to have goals as milestones to lead us to bigger goals, in my opinion. Because I was just thinking, like, okay, what if I do make this certain amount of money? What if I do get this certain car? What if I do get that follower count on social media, on Instagram? What's next? Does anything really change? Do I turn into Superman? Does nothing else really happen? You don't really change much other than your income. It might change. You might be able to buy nice things. Of course, people are going to be saying, oh, I'm butthurt because I don't have any of these things yet. And that's not the case, right? I know I will get these things as long as I put in the work in. But what I'm saying is, I don't want to be a slave to just and put my value based on a number on the screen, whether that's my Instagram follower account, whether that's my subscribers. Like if I have 100,000 subscribers, I'm still as human as everyone else. I don't turn into a fucking Superman. I don't turn into a superhero. I might perceive that way. You know, celebrities might perceive as like heroes, which we shouldn't really, you know, most of them we shouldn't even be looking up to. But you get what I mean, right? Like we're still human no matter how much money we make, no matter, you know. And I heard this from Tristan Tate, right? He's very controversial, but I like him personally. He said, I didn't know how rich I was when I had my father. And I'm going to say this, my father has been diagnosed with something that I'm not going to say on here because he doesn't even know that I know, right? But I know. And it's something that, it's not like a terminal or chronic illness, but it is something that does, you know, increase your chances of mortality. And, you know, it kind of hurt when I found out about it. Tristan Tate said, I didn't know how rich I was when I had my father. And I try to remember that every single time. It's like, I want to make my dad proud, but I can't, you know, put a number on that. You know, is there a certain number of money that I can make that can make my dad proud? He'll probably be happy, but why would I sacrifice the time that my dad has left on this earth just for me to make a lot of money, which may not even change my life too much? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I've been just recently focused on, oh, I need to sacrifice my family time to, you know, learn a skill, keep posting more on social media. But the more older I grow, the more I realize this work is never going to stop. But my dad's time on this earth is going to stop at some point. And if I'm only focused on my future and just focusing on my goals, which there's going to be no end to it, I will never be satisfied usually, or no one will ever be satisfied usually. My dad's time on this earth is going to be limited. And I am just thinking in the future, you know, I will probably achieve these goals. I have a lot of time, supposedly. I'm 20, but my dad doesn't have that much time. And there's only a certain amount of time I can spend time with my dad, right? The work is never going to stop. But my dad's time will be. And you just never know when that will be. And so recently I've just been maturing, like, hey, my dad's time is very valuable right now. You just never know when, you know, something might happen to him. And, you know, I've been trying to de-pedestalize my personal selfish goals. Not saying that I'm selfish, but what I'm saying is I'm trying to de-pedestalize, like, as if this follower count, this amount of money is like the king. Only God is king, which is why I've been reading Proverbs. I've been trying to prioritize the right things. I've been trying to prioritize God, my family, my personal health, right? If I'm healthy, everyone else around me is going to be healthy because I set the example. But what I'm saying is our family time is really limited, right? You never know who might pass away. And I'm not saying that to be negative. It's just the truth, right? I almost went to the ER with my dad the other day because he was feeling, you know, he has some high blood pressure, which is kind of normal for, you know, most elderlies, but you just never know when that time might be. So it's important to detach from the outcome of your personal outcomes, that especially that are like perceived value, right? Like Instagram followers is perceived status. amount of money it's still status. Like the amount of money you make obviously is still status, but it's a perceived status in the public eye. But your relationship with God is not a perceived. It is or it isn't. God will judge you by the posture of your heart. If you're with him, he'll know. If you're not, then he will, and then he will know. He'll know whether you believe or not. And that's not something that's perceived. It just is or isn't. You either believe or you don't believe. You either prioritize him or you don't prioritize him. You prioritize your family or you don't. Right? But all these other things, like materialistic, tangible things that I just explained, the cars, the watches, the money, it's all perceived, right? It obviously helps you with opportunities in life, but is always never going to be enough for most people, right? So just wanted to share that. This is something that I wish I would have told my younger self. So I'm just trying to help you guys out. As I'm 20, I still have some way to go, but I have goals. But I'm just saying that I don't want to pedestalize the wrong goals, pedestalize the wrong values, and I want to start, putting God first, putting my family first. But obviously I'm still gonna work towards my goals, right? That's not gonna stop. But some things are just more prioritized than others for the meantime. Because it's just like what happens next, right? Like when you get the car, when I have the car, when I get the money, the income, the status, when I have it all, I don't turn into a fucking Superman. It doesn't mean I get instant access to heaven. It's just all materialistic things that I'm going to leave here when I die. So what can I take with me is my spirit, my soul, and depends how I carry that soul on earth is how I will carry it in heaven. So that's just my thoughts. Detach from the outcome. It's not going to make you a superhero. It's not going to change you. Obviously, it'll only amplify you. If you're a good person and you get a lot of money, you're just going to even be a better person, usually. If you're a bad person and then you get your hands on a lot of money on a big platform on Instagram, you might spread bad stuff. You might spread bad energy, negative stuff, So become a good person from within, and then everything else will align from the outside world. So I'll see you next time.